Captain on the bridge.
Hey Gaps, we are back on the bridge tonight, and what we are doing is another 40k redeem stream. This time it was by Nubla Elf, and the orders are to use the Sovereign and put any build I want on it. Pretty easy. Pretty easy. So, this is what we did. We used the Legendary Miracle Worker Assault Cruiser, and we went with the USS Enterprise E. The build I had in mind was something I call a 4x4. Now, there's a game that I used to play a while ago when I was a kid called Star Trek Starfleet Command, and how it was laid out was you would see beams and torps fore and aft. Now, it's not the first time I've done builds like this. I usually do more torp heavy or beam heavy, but I thought with this we'd have a little fun and do a 4x4 build, or what I christen a 4x4 build. So what we'll do is we'll go over the weapons, space set, consoles, traits, station, doffs, take into Elite Argala, see how this build does, and then we'll give our final thoughts. So in the 4 weapons here, we have Phaser Beam Array Crit DM Damage 3 with Pen Mod. We also use the Gravimetric Photon Torpedo here, which is one of my favorite torps in game. The Prolonged Engagement Photon Torpedo, paired with the Prolonged Engagement Phaser Beam Array. This you can get from your Dyson rep. This was a event reward. These here. And the 2-piece here actually gives us 7.5 recharge time on all bridge officer abilities, which will help us. Then we have a deflector here, Elite Fleet Intervention Protomatter Deflector from your colony, your Innovated Impulse Engines from your competition rep, your Mycelial Harmonic Matter Antimatter Core, and Tilly's Review Pending Modified Shield, which is from the Discovery rep. After weapons, we have, again, the Phaser Beam Arrays Crit DM Damage 3 with the Pen Mod, both of them. For our photons here, we have the Crit DM Damage 3 with the Spread Mod, because why not? And another photon launcher here with Crit DM Damage times 4. Now, we saw the Sovereign use Quantum Torpedoes, we'll go over that, but it was firing photons from the fore and aft. For devices here, we have our Kobayashi Maru transponder. We're still going to be using our Torp Candy that gives us plus 30% bonus projectile damage. We're going to use a red matter capacitor to help our power levels, help our beams. And then a temporal negotiator here to help with, again, to help with our cooldowns. Consoles, we have the Lorcator or the Lorca's custom fire controls, which is from your Discovery rep as well. Consoles here again, binaural infusion circuits, which are from your low-buy store. We're going to use the Domino, which gives us 15% phaser damage, and upon activation will give us 25% fire cycle haste for energy weapons, plus 25% bonus all damage, plus 25% speed for recharge speed for our bridge officer abilities, and 100% recharge speed for torp weapons. So this is a really good console. This Domino console is from your, not mistaken, your Bajoran Interceptor. Then we're going to still use the consoles from the Terran rep, which is the Ferrofluid Hydraulic Assembly. This is going to give us minus 0.5 second shared torpedo recharge time. The Ordnance Accelerator from your Gamma rep. A lot of goodies here. We have plus 26.3 projectile damage and plus 26.3 phaser damage. Going to help us a lot. DPRM from your Atlas, which is a lockbox ship. Plus 19% directed energy damage and some damage resistance rating right there. Paired up with the Point Defense Bombardment Warhead, which gives us plus 25% projectile damage. Pair these both we get more phaser damage. So that is why we're doing that. Here's where our quantums come into play. Opening salvo, which is from the Titan, Tier 6 Titan. Love this console, you captains know that. When you fire this, this takes shields down, and of course when shields down, direct hull damage. And we're also going to use the Tri-Cobalt Tear Launcher because when you fire this, this actually looks like quantum torpedoes. So this is where my thinking is, at least for visually, to get my quantum look on this ship. Which again, this does give us plus 90% torpedo damage, and of course, improves shield pen. We're going to use the emulating phaser lance, which comes from Deimos Pilot Destroyer. I believe that's a lockbox ship as well, or a promo ship. But this gives us plus 15.8% phaser damage, again, more shield pen. And this is also going to help us cool down our universal consoles with a trait that we're going to be using. And we are still going to probably just boost our phaser here with these two consoles. So from the Spire Fleet, which is the vulnerability locators, plus 39.4% phaser damage, plus 2 crit. Stat-wise, we're still at 42.6 crit chance and 176.3 crit severity. And on my, what I deem my Dumbo, I think the severity is like about the same. So we're still in that range. Okay, I'll go over the traits here. We did kind of balance this out a little bit between phaser and torp damage, but still use some of the traits here. So a good day to die, self-modulating fire, superior beam training, resonating payload modification, adaptive offense, superior projectile training, unconventional systems, Terran targeting systems. We have intelligent agent attaché, and the Boimler effect. For our starship traits, we have universal designs. This is what's going to help us give us more crit chance and crit severity, but also help us cool down our universal consoles. We're going to use subspatial warheads because this gives good damage buff to our high yields. Ceaseless momentum for the kinetic damage, the emergency weapon cycle to help us with our beam damage, and then we're also going to be using one of my favorite traits, the super weapon ingenuity, which increases the duration of your beam overload. Station wise, left to right, top to bottom, we have our tractor beam, our jam targeting sensors, hematite lace weaponry, beam overload 2, high yield 3, distribute targeting, attack pattern beta 1, destabilize warp core because I love the visual of this, emit unstable warp bubble, narrow sensor bands, mix armament synergy, and just like with the build that we did previously on the Eisenberg, this is what we're going to help to boost up our beam overload, because when we activate this and then activate, let's say, the high yield 3, it's going to help boost up the beam damage. So that's my thought behind that. Emergency power to engines, and then emergency power to weapons. Then trait-wise, oh no, we'll go over the space rep, forgot to go over this. So nothing too different. So we got a precision, advanced targeting systems, omega kinetic shearing, torpedo pre-fire sequence, pilot's duality. Then for our active space reps, we have the anti-time entanglement singularity, biomolecular shield generator, force challenge. I don't really use this, but it's there. Why not? The tethered non-baryonic asteroid. I finally said it correctly, I hope. Refracting Tetron cascade. Let's go over doofs. Again, for our doofs, we have the 2 doofs on our ground that helps boost the damage in space, which is Neil Falconer. Increased damage versus the Borg. We're going to an Argala, but when we do our pews nightly here on Twitch, we like to visit the Borg a lot. Elder Malikatan, which increases damage for all in space. And then for our space, Emergency Con Officer, recharges evasive maneuvers when we hit emergency power to engines. This DOF here, the Energy Weapons Officer, which is a chance for beam overload to cause all attacks against the target to gain 30% shield penetration. And then 2 projectile DOFs, which give us crit severity when we use and fire projectiles. Delrine, again, more damage against the Borg, and 38 of 47 reduce other bridge officer ability cooldowns after using one. So let's take this to Elite Argala. We have some captains here joining us. Big shout out to them. Let's see who's here. We have shout out to Nick, Lucifer, who is Augmented Dictator Games, Anthony Taylor, Necron, and Virak. But captains, we'll be back. We're going to be doing the Elite Argala to see how this does. We can find it. Here we go. Let's launch that bad boy. And yeah, we're going to find out how this does. You're going to see the flight pattern of this ship is like flying around like a headless chicken, because as we've seen on screen, ships don't just park and shoot. They move around to try to maximize their damage. That's what we're going to do. Oh, let's do that. So let's buff up. See how this does. Ooh. Just like when the Enterprise E was fighting against the Scimitar, just kind of... There's our photons. There's our gravimetric torpedo. Got to be careful with the gravimetric torpedo. I have a tendency of flying into them, which is not good. But there you go, first group down. Let's buff up this as much as we can against the second group.
You have entered looks like our fight got them to notice us. Let's go over and ask if their boss might come out of hiding.
Tell me that doesn't look pretty. Ooh, that's pretty. Okay, again, we got to make sure we're flying. And older Star Trek games were like this too, like Star Trek Bridge Commander, Star Trek Starfleet Command 1, 2, and 3, Star Trek Legacy. This is kind of the Star Trek battles you would see there. Oh, I love the sound of beam overload. Beam overload's coming up. There's a spread. Use that. Domino. Weapon haste. Damage to everything. And I do throw tractor beam in there because it's kind of Star Trek to hold your enemy in place. Let's come about. Our opening salvo's coming on. It's clear to use, so let's do that along with our tri-cobalt. Shields offline. Try to get our damage in there. Keep the shields offline. There we go. This does bring me back to those older games I was mentioning earlier. It's not the fastest pace, but it's fun for me. And if you're playing a game, you're not having fun, then you're not playing a game.
picked up a tight beam transmission on a new frequency. We're jamming
Ooh,
that spectrum on
pretty.
the comms now, but it was probably a call for assistance.
Okay, we're gonna use our bus for the last group. There you go. Last group already. Okay, let's take the shields down. 1/4 impulse to try to get as much opening salvos in there. There you go. Concentrate on the last remaining ships. Woo!
Excellent work.
Now that
Send over a
was a great way to end off that battle.
suspect into
Beam
custody.
overload with a tri-cobalt launcher. Yes.
Thank you for your assistance. And
Many yes. Many, many yes. All right, let's park over here, give our final thoughts, and then take a selfie, which, captains, if you do not know what that is, it is a ship selfie. Park this bad boy here. And let's have a look at that beauty, shall we? Ooh. Yes. Captains, there you go. That's the build. That's how she did in Elite Argala. Again, thank you to Noobler Elf on Twitch for redeeming 40k channel points so that I can build whatever I want on the Sovereign. And this was a build, again, I had in mind. This was a perfect opportunity, I thought, to go ahead and do that. So, again, I'm not the best ship builder. I do these type of builds for fun. The 40Ks are orders, so orders are orders. And I just follow that. But these builds also, when I do these type of videos, it's just to show that it can do okay in elite content. And very good in advanced content, which really, that's kind of what we do anyways, nightly, which is do our nightly pew-pew. So again, this ship was part of the 10th anniversary bundle, which had all the hero ships. This is the first legendary bundle that dropped. Hopefully, captains, you got it, but if you didn't get a chance to nab it this time, when it comes up, consider getting it. I highly recommend not only this ship, but most of the ships in that bundle. And they're all hero ships if you're all into the canon stuff. So we'll leave it there, captains. Please consider subscribing, liking, comments to our YouTube channel so that we know how we're doing when it comes to this type of content. Again, this is just to show the type of fun that we have here on the bridge on Twitch.
Permission to disembark, sir.
Granted.